If you wonder why Michael Jordan is called the GOAT, why he doesn't like the nickname, and how Jerry Krause made him win it, being general manager of the Bulls, then don't lose another second and watch this video until the end. You're going to be amazed at how it all turned out once the Bulls reached the glory. Jerry Krause was the man behind the scenes who built the Chicago Bulls dynasty. He spent 18 seasons as the organization's general manager, helping to build squads that won 6 NBA championships. He began his NBA career as a scout with the Baltimore Bullets. He would later work with the Phoenix Suns, Philadelphia 76ers, Los Angeles Lakers, and the Bulls, before leaving the sport to become a baseball scout. His rise to fame came after finding Earl Monroe. Under his responsibility as general manager since 1985, he led the team to 6 league titles under Michael Jordan. Yes, as you hear it, and without him taking any of the credit for it, he was the one who led Jordan to be called the GOAT, which stands for the greatest of all time. We can all agree that his airness deserves it, but he himself feels uncomfortable, because he says it is unfair to those who could not play with him because of a generational issue and are out of the comparison. I don't want it. In a sense, because I think I'm disrespecting guys like Wilt Chamberlain, Jerry West, all those guys I never got a chance to play with. While everyone says I am, I never had the chance to compete alongside other legends who came before me, said the champion. But as magical as Jordan's game is, the Chicago Bulls general manager was responsible for getting the right players who helped make the Bulls the best team in the NBA for a decade. To name a few key players in Krause's Bulls successes included shooting guard Scottie Pippen and forward Horace Grant, who were selected in 1987. Krause also had an excellent relationship with coach Phil Jackson in the beginning, and that helped him get the players the team needed to support Jordan. As he did with the signing of Croatian power forward Toni Kukoc, the first European player to succeed in the NBA. Kukoc was the first tall man with a great shot from outside the perimeter, which caused him to surprise opposing defenders, as well as great ball control. After Jordan's 3-year temporary retirement, the Bulls needed to strengthen their squad, and Krause signed shooting guard Ron Harper and acquired power forward Dennis Rodman to replace Grant, who had left for the Orlando Magic. Later, the two acquisitions were key when Jordan decided to return and win 3 more league titles. After winning 6 titles, Jordan had already decided not to continue in active competition, although he later returned again, so the harmony was broken with the organization, and a dispute with Jackson led to the coach's departure. Pippen was transferred to the Houston Rockets, and Jordan retired for a second time in 1999. The breakdown of the Bulls' championship team was then attributed to Krause for failing to make the necessary concessions when it came to the renewal with Jordan's departure. We can agree that if he takes on the successes, he deserves to take on the mistakes as well, right? Are you still there? Well, before we tell you which were the magic passes that the good Krause made to consolidate the team, I advise you to subscribe to our channel, down there, so you can be aware of everything we have for you without missing anything. Now, let's continue. Krause returned to basketball as general manager of the Chicago Bulls from March 26th from 1985 to 2003. He was in charge of setting up the squads, and his first move was to fire coach Kevin Lowery, who spent 2 seasons at the helm of the team and racked up a record of 65 and 99. He replaced him with Stan Albeck, who would last just 1 season before being replaced by Doug Collins. In 1987-88, the Bulls would have their first season of 50 wins since 1973-74. Krause won the first 2 Executive of the Year awards. The second would be nearly 10 years later in 1995-96, when the Bulls set a then record of 72 and 10 in the regular season, surpassed in 2015-2016 by the Golden State Warriors, 73 and 9. Krause and the Bulls won the first of 6 titles in 1990-91, and the last was in 97-98. At the end of the 88-89 season, after the Bulls were unable to beat the Detroit Pistons in the Eastern Finals, Krause fired coach Doug Collins, replacing him with Phil Jackson. In summary, among his most notable operations as GM of the Bulls, we can mention: he signed John Paxson up in October 1985, picked Horace Grant in the 10th place of the 1987 draft, and then traded for Scottie Pippen on the night of the 1987 draft. Traded Charles Oakley, a first-round draft from 1988, and a third-round draft from that year to the New York Knicks, for Bill Cartwright, a first-round draft from 1988 and a third-round draft. Signed Bill Wennington and Steve Kerr as free agents in September 1993, picked Stacey King and B.J. Armstrong in the 1989 draft, and then picked Toni Kukoc in the 1990 draft. Traded Stacey King to the Minnesota Timberwolves for Luke Longley in February 1994, and signed Ron Harper as a free agent in September 1994. Traded Will Perdue to San Antonio Spurs for Dennis Rodman in October 1995. Hired Tim Floyd as a coach in January 1999, lockout season. Traded Steve Kerr to San Antonio in January 1999 for Chuck Person and a first-round pick in 2000. And traded Scottie Pippen to Houston Rockets in January 1999 for Roy Rogers and a second-round pick in 2000. Picked Elton Brand, first, and Ron Artest, Meta World Peace, in the 1999 draft. Picked Eddie Curry in the 2001 draft. He traded Elton Brand to the Los Angeles Clippers for Tyson Chandler and Brian Skinner on the night of the 2001 draft. Traded Ron Artest, Meta World Peace, Ron Mercer, Brad Miller, and Kevin Ollie to Indiana Pacers for Travis Best, Norm Richardson, Jalen Rose, and a second-round pick of the 2000 draft in February 2002. And finally, he picked Jay Williams, second, in the 2002 draft. Amazing network of names, isn't it? Despite some criticism of his management of the team in recent times, Jerry Krause was responsible for shaping a squad that dominated the NBA. The foundation of those Chicago Bulls was laid in 1987, when he traded Olden Polynice for Scottie Pippen in the draft. That same year, he also chose Horace Grant, and in 1988, he gave him a red carpet to return his place on the team by transferring Charles Oakley to Bill Cartwright, who was the pure center. However, Oakley was one of Michael Jordan's best friends, and the star of the team was not happy about the exchange, although the arrival of the first title in 1991 would calm the mood. MJ even praised the GM. Oakley's transfer was good, and the best thing he did was get Pippen and Grant at this time. In 1989, he was named NBA Executive of the Year. The same year, Phil Jackson was named head coach of the Chicago Bulls. The following season, he would choose Tony Kukoc in the draft, and he had already put together a perfectly matched squad to start reaping success. When Michael retired in 1993, Jerry Krause got all the attention. There were doubts as to whether he could assemble a top team without his star. Well, in 1995, he signed Ron Harper as a free agent and made a trade by sending Will Perdue to the San Antonio Spurs in exchange for a Dennis Rodman, who was more than instrumental in the second three-peat of the Chicago Bulls. With Jordan's return to basketball, the team was ready to reign again, and he did so immediately, achieving a then record of 72 NBA wins in the 1995-96 season. Jerry Krause was named Executive of the Year for the second time. And yet, why do some people see Jerry Krause as the villain of this movie? Because of his arguments with Phil Jackson and Michael Jordan himself. The general manager's bad reputation with them became the fuse of a bomb that would explode with Scottie Pippen's contractual problems. Krause's ego and his constant demand for recognition made things start to go wrong for the Chicago Bulls. The real problems came in the 1997-98 season. Jerry Krause made several decisions, not all of them sporting, that caused the general unrest of the squad and really serious anger up top. The beginning of the end was in his mismanagement of the Scottie Pippen renovation. We're talking about the guy who was one of the lowest paid players in the entire NBA, despite being the best possible partner for Michael Jordan. Pippen's situation led the forward to look out for himself rather than the team, as for example when he decided to undergo an ankle operation at the beginning of the season in order to, as he himself admitted, not throw away his vacation. The relationship between the manager and the player was close to breaking down on several occasions, and Scottie even asked for a trade, something that never came thanks to Jordan's intervention. When the Chicago Bulls won their sixth ring in 1998, Phil Jackson and Scottie Pippen left the team, and Michael Jordan retired from basketball for the second, but not last time. The most dominant team of the 1990s was ending an era that would go down in history in a somewhat dark way. Obviously, all the blame fell on Jerry Krause, who didn't try too hard to avoid it either. Krause retired as GM of the Bulls on April 7, 2003. He returned to baseball, working with the New York Yankees and the Mets. He also spent time with the Chicago White Sox and Arizona Diamondbacks. He died on March 1, 2017 at the age of 77. In the same year, he was inducted into the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame under the category of contributor. And Jordan is still the GOAT, partly because of him. Now, don't you understand why? We hope you enjoyed the video. Check out some of these videos that we picked out just for you.